it started to record. You can still see the browser, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. All right. So, all right, it's 2 minutes past 2. So who am I? My name is Esam. You just put an E before Sam. I am an educator. I've been in further education for over 20 years. And the reason that I'm probably delivering this session, Microsoft Teams, is because I was one of the...
Yeah, who is this?
I was a very early adopter to Microsoft Teams, and I introduced Microsoft Teams into my teaching. It must have been 3 years ago. And Microsoft Teams is a fairly new product, by the way. It must be about 3 years old. And it's their fastest growing app, in Microsoft history. And they say they have about 120 million daily active users. So it's a very, very popular product, okay? I'd like to share with you a little video of the reasons why I started using Microsoft Teams. It's only 2 minutes and 10 seconds. It is worth it. And this is the reason why I introduced Microsoft Teams, although we did have a virtual learning environment in our college. So let's just watch this. Hopefully I did share the sound, so it should come up. Let me know if it's not, please. Everyone has a voice, and I believe everyone deserves to be heard. The way I teach needs to take into consideration everyone's needs in my class, including Kabir's. The truth is, I can probably sympathize with some of the students that don't communicate with Kabir before Teams. To communicate with him through the signer is a prolonged process. The very first time I introduced Teams in my class was really a special moment. I stood back at that moment and my eyes were fixated on Kabir because I knew that this would have an impact on teaching and learning, especially with Kabir.
Kabir is really patient, he's focused.
I would describe him as very smart.
Whenever I need help, I just write his name, Kabir, and then I just ask him a question and then he just answers back.
I mean, it's probably the two best things in life, learning and diversity. It's what makes this world, wonderful, isn't it? Everyone has a voice, even if you can't speak. Teams has given Kabir a voice. He can have his voice heard and he can contribute to the class. And most importantly, I think it's giving him dignity. So that's Microsoft Teams, and that's my story with Microsoft Teams, and that happened 3 years ago. So I asked the question is, how much do you know about Microsoft Teams from 0 to 10 in the chat pane? And some of you are just starting your journey with Microsoft Teams. So what is Microsoft Teams? Microsoft Teams is a communication and collaboration platform. That's essentially what it is. For those that have never used Microsoft Teams, consider Microsoft Teams as WhatsApp on steroids. All right. If I ask the majority of you, do you have WhatsApp on your phone? Most of the time I would find that 98% of all people have WhatsApp on their phones. So what you need to do is just consider WhatsApp Teams is WhatsApp on steroids. Okay. So as I said, Teams is a communication and collaboration platform. There is your corporate version of Teams, and then there is your educational version of Teams. So there are two separate products. So what we're looking at today is the educational version of Teams. And what the educational version of Teams has that is not available in the commercial version of Teams is features like assignments and class insights and the class notebook. All right. But essentially they're the same, except with the educational version of Teams, you get a team that is a class type. Okay, all good with that? Yes. So with that being said, let's learn how to log on to Teams. So the most important thing is to know this address, office.com. I'm sure lots of you are familiar with this address. It's one of the most important addresses to know because it's the same across all different institutes. It's office.com. So your organization would have provided you with a username and a password. So when you go to office.com, you're going to be logging in using that username and password. So once you log in, what you have on towards the top left is this over here called your app launcher. Okay, that's your app launcher. So what we do is we click on our app launcher and we navigate to Teams. So once we navigate to Teams, we are accessing Teams through our browser. There is another way of accessing Teams through our browser by writing teams.office.com. All right. So we can access that by typing in teams.office.com. That means we're bypassing one step. Okay. So that's teams.office.com. If I press enter, I will get into Teams. Okay, there we go. So we get into Teams. Once we're in Teams, in our browser, by the way, depending if you are members of owners of Teams, you may not have any Teams. By the way, this is a demo tenant. When I say tenant, you'll hear that term a lot. And a tenant means an Office 365 organization. That's all. So this is a demo Office 365 demo account. What you see, it's a demo tenant. Okay. So what you see in front of you is a demo account, and I've got these teams. In your case, you might not have any teams, or you may have a couple of teams. Something is flashing, so I'll have to look. There's, oh,
That's right.
yeah, I don't have work in a college. How I don't work in a, yeah. So in your organization, if they provide you with Microsoft 365, it's exactly the same thing. You go to office.com and you use your organization's account, username and password. That I can't help you with, Janet, if I'm correcting. Yeah, sorry. And I'm not very au with Teams, so that was a direct message. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to answering you back straight away like this, so I do apologize. No, but Janet, the question here, the point here is that if your organization is moving to Microsoft 365, then it is worth staying, because that might be the case, because I'm assuming you did sign up for this for a particular reason. So I'm going to leave the chat alone for now, and I'll just move on to this. So as you can see, you may have a couple of teams that you are an owner or a member of. This is the grid view, and in about a year and a half ago they introduced this grid view. I love it because you can rearrange your teams in order of importance or priority, just to know that you can move these grids here. Okay, so once you're in Teams in your browser, I have a very important tip. Okay, the first thing that you should do is you should look towards the top right over here, and you click on your profile picture and you navigate to where it says download the desktop app. Why you would want to download the desktop app? because the desktop app has more features than your browser version. Okay, I would also recommend that you upload your own picture over here, because when we're in meetings in Teams and you don't have your video camera on, then at least we can see who the participants are. So I'm going to leave you to explore these options here on your own, but I would definitely recommend that you download the desktop app. Now, the next tip that I have for you is something really important because it's so helpful. At the bottom left-hand corner, you've got something called help. And this is a very, very helpful help files. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. If you click on the help and you click on training, what happens is you get these bite-sized videos explaining how to use the different aspects of Microsoft Teams. So here it says, and by the way, you can see that there's a PDF here. So there's some lovely handouts for you and links to some lovely resources. So for, if you're going to ask me, oh, yeah, where are your handouts? I am pointing you to the best, signposting you to the best resources. And that is at the bottom left here called help. There are, look, download the Teams for Education. So if I right click here and open a new tab, you've got this lovely PDF that they've created for you that explains all the different parts of the graphical user interface. What's this? What's that? Some really, really nice, a very, very useful PDF, including roles in a meeting, something that's really important, even if you're not using the educational version of Teams and you're using the corporate version. It's really important to know the different roles in an online meeting. All right, so a lovely PDF here for you. How you access it is you navigate towards the bottom left hand corner of the screen, you click on help, and you've got these lovely bite-sized videos explaining how to navigate and how to do all sorts of things. Let's have a quick look at this and see what it looks like.
When you launch the Teams app, you will arrive at your Teams dashboard. We like to think of the Teams dashboard as two distinct areas, the Me space and the We space. The large area that shows one specific team or all of your teams is the We space because it is where you share, post, and communicate with other members of your teams. The bar on the left-hand side of the screen is where you find notifications about your recent activity, private chats, teams, assignments, meetings.
Okay, you get the idea. Really, really nice bite-sized videos that explains all the different aspects of Microsoft Teams. But because I'm in an educational version of Teams, it gives me bite-sized videos about the educational version of Teams. All right, so lots and lots of things over there. Now, with that being said, as we said, Microsoft Teams is a communication and collaboration platform. Now, when we compare it to Zoom, Zoom is more of a video conferencing platform, mainly designed for consumers, but lots of companies are using it. Now, Microsoft Teams for Education is basically a communication and collaboration platform that has many features that compare to a virtual learning environment. All right, so what a virtual learning environment, is, for those, I'm sure many of us have come across it. One of the most famous virtual learning environments is Moodle, right? So virtual learning environments allows us to share resources, and it allows us to create assignments where we can set deadlines. So Teams does all of this. But what gives Teams an advantage over all the different platforms is that because it's owned by Microsoft, it integrates very, very well with the Microsoft 365 applications. So like Word, PowerPoint, Excel, Sway, Microsoft Forms. All of these apps integrate really well. I've got a chat. Let me see what this says. How do you see the tile version screen that you have? Mine doesn't look like that. So it's a really good question. Normally by default it should be, but there's an area here. If you click on that settings, can you see that over there? So let me zoom in and show you just in case. So if you have that icon, and I'm assuming you do, you can switch view. So if you click on switch view, you've got the grid and you've got the list. So you might actually be in the list. So with the list, not very, very nice. But if we click on the grid, we're back to that. All right, so hopefully you do have access to that. Cog, is it called? And basically when you click in there, you can switch views. Okay, and please do, you know, have the questions come straight away, okay? Okay, someone coming in, admit. All right, so let's get started. This is the grid view. You can switch views, but I would definitely keep it at the grid view. With the grid view, you can change these teams in terms of importance. I believe so. I believe so, Lynn. Yeah, I really do. But to tell you the truth, I'm not sure why you're in list view. And, you know, I'm not sure why, because that's normally, actually, in the corporate view, it probably is that view, because I have, let me show you real quick. If I jump, I've got a corporate account in my own company. So I think that is, let me quickly just, let me see, info. If I show you my one, so if I go to teams.office, this is a corporate one, the company that I use. Let's see if I go to Teams. You're right. It is in that. You're absolutely right. So you do have the list view. So how you would change that is, can you see over there? Let's see that. That's a really good question. So on the education, you get the grid view by default. But with this one, I will come back to you on that, actually. It's a really good question. Yeah, very, very good question. I'll get back to you, okay, on that.
Hello.
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt. If you click on your picture, top right-hand corner,
Yep.
that's where you can get the settings.
Oh, thank you very much. You're very good. But where's the grid and where's the other view? I have to find out if it's on the corporate view. You would think it is. All right, you would think it is. So I'll definitely come back to you because I'm actually interested in that answer there. All right, so with the educational view, you know, by default, you've got the grid. So let me get back to you on that. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to learn how to create a team. So we'll join or create a team. Right, so on the, let me go back and show you where that is. So towards the bottom right, the top right, you've got join or create team. When you join or create team, we're going to click on create team. Now we are looking at the educational version of Teams. In your corporate version of Teams, you're not going to get 4 different types of teams. You only get one type of team. So if I went back to my corporate one here, right, and I said, go and create a team. Look, you get this, right? So it's not the same. So, you know, we are focusing on the educational version of Teams. So when we go and create a team, we get 4 different types of teams. For teaching, learning, and assessment purposes, we are going to create a class type team. So this is the one you should always focus on. So if you are using Teams for teaching and learning, it will be the class type team. Okay. So we click on the class type team. Then what happens is you have to give it a name. So It really depends on a couple of things here, and let me explain what it is. It could be that your organization will automate this process for you, and you don't have to create your own teams. Okay, so it could be that your organization, your IT department will automate this process, based on your classes, and the students will be populated. It could be that we waited 4 years before that process was automated. But for the sakes of this demonstration, I'm going to show you how to create one. So let's just go back and do a quick recap. So we're in this view. Towards the top right, we click on join or create team. Then we click on this option that says create a team. We choose the class type team because with the class type team, it will provide us with something called assignments and class insights and a few different education focused features. So we click on the class type, right? So we give it a name. And my advice is, if this is not automated for you, make sure that when you create these names, they are uniform with the others. So I would advise you to follow maybe your register. So in my case, I'll do 1005 because that's our code. And I might say BTech level 3, and then I might say ICT, ICT, something like that. Okay, and then I'll have group, A, B, C, D, right? So I'll have something like this. And what I would do is I'll probably copy that name. So when I go and create those other teams, there's a uniform, consistent naming convention. Okay, so that's what I would advise. So once you give it a name like this, you'll click on create. Right. So it takes, you've got this option. With the class type team, you get students and teachers. You don't get this option in any other type team. So your students are members and your teachers are owners. Owners are basically, they have admin rights to the team. Okay. So, you add your teachers. So be careful who you add there, because it is possible that the teacher can delete a team and do other things. So what we're going to do is we are going to add a couple of students in here. Because this is a dummy demo, there's no GDPR issues over here. So I'm just going to add these names here. All right. And what happens is that when you start typing people's names, what will happen is that it will look through something called the Active Directory. So it means you don't even have to type in their full names. All right, it will look through, I'm assuming in most cases, it'll look through the Active Directory and you'll see your student names there. All right, so let's just add 2 more or 3 more. All right, so there we go. We've added this person already. Let's do C. Okay, there we go. Right, and what we do is we add. There we go. Once they're added, in a few seconds, this should work. There we go, and we close. And as easy as that, we've just created a class type team. All right, this is our class type team. This is the interface. By default, when you create any type of team, you have a general channel. There's our general channel. By default, you have a general channel. So my advice here is to start creating additional channels. So I'm going to stop right here and ask here, and please do answer, what are channels? What do you think channels are? Why would we want to create channels? That is a question posed to everyone, please. Let's see, do we have any answers here? I've got chat here, yeah. Communication types, yeah, to communicate. Why would you want to create a channel? Why? Because what we want to do by creating channels is Yes, different workspaces. I would agree with that. We want to group conversations. Absolutely. And we want to also filter conversations according to the topic or the unit. So typically what we would do at college, in a college environment, and, in adult learning services also, you deliver the same type of courses. So here we're focusing on the BTEC. So if we click on those three dots, the dot, 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 sometimes people refer it to the ellipsis. We click on those dot, 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 we're able to create additional channels. So what we're going to do is we're going to create additional channels, and normally these channels correspond to the units that we deliver. So for example, in this BTEC level 3, we in the first year might deliver 9 units. So I would call that unit 1, and I'll say business. Is someone coming in? Oops. Very annoying this, isn't it? Let me add people. Sorry, just give me a sec. Okay, so all right, so what we would do is we would create channels that correspond to the units that we deliver. So for example, we'll say unit 1, business communications, add. So now we've got a channel. We click on those three dots again. We click on add channel, and here, for example, I'll say unit 8, e-commerce. Okay, so that's how we add channels. All right, 3 dots, add channels. Why we add channels? Because it's a way of grouping conversations and resources also. As I said, by default, when we create a team, you'll always get this general default channel. Now, when we look at this class type team, and you only get this in the educational version of Teams, when you look at that and click on the general, what you have on the top is tabs that are unique to the class type team. Let's have a look at them. So all teams will have posts and files. All of them do, right? But the class type team has something that other types of teams does not have. And what are they? They are these 3 things. You've got the class notebook, and we don't have time to look into that today, unfortunately. But for those that know OneNote, basically that's your class OneNote. There's the assignments. Your assignments are basically tasks that you can give out to students, and you can assign deadlines to that, and we'll have a quick look at that. And you've got grades. So basically, that's what this class type team provides, okay? Any questions so far? No? You're more than welcome to get off the mic. Have any questions so far? Everything clear?
Yes, I've got one.
Yes, Lynn, go ahead, please. Oops, it froze.
Would this work with screen reader? Would you be able to navigate around?
Say that again, Lynn, because it was just, yeah, say that again, please.
Would it work with a screen reader for a visually impaired person?
That's a really good question that I don't have the answer to, and I will find out, Lynn. That's okay. I need to write these questions down because they're very, very important questions. But so what this does have is it has live transcripts. So when I start a meeting, and I'm not sure if I can do that at the same time. Let me have a look. Can I do that? I'm not sure. If something happens, by the way, I'll come back because I don't know if I can have 2 meetings. Let's see. Okay, so we do have that. So, this is the browser version. Remember, in the browser version, it's not very good, right? So let me exit that. I've got another desktop version, so not to worry. Let me quickly go to, because of, okay, so what I'll do is I'll just go to one of my dummy teams. And if I click on one of my dummy, where are we? Come on, come on. Let me click, I think, yeah, let me click on that. Let me go to Meet. So in Meet now, right? Oops, let me turn that off. I'll join. So when we're in a meeting, just give it a second, it'll come up. Come on, he says. Okay, there we go. So when we're in a meeting, if I click on those three dots, you've got something called turn on live captions. So when we turn on live captions, look at this amazing technology, he says. Okay, can you see at the bottom what's happening? It even identifies me by name. And basically it's now, you know, providing live captions. So obviously with people with hearing impairments, this is just like, this is so transformative. It's a big game changer. And this is because of the developments in AI and machine learning. So you can see some really, really impressive stuff here. And of course, you know, there's other views that if you do have a signer in a meeting, you can pin them and you can do spotlight. Okay, but your question about a screen reader is an excellent question, but I can tell you that Microsoft has a big focus on in inclusion and in accessibility, more so from what I've seen than many companies out there. So I don't know if the answer is yes, but you know, they'd be very interested. And if it's not, I'm sure this is something that they are looking into. So definitely let me write that as in the screen reader. What was another question? Oh yes, the other question was about the grid view in the corporate version. Any other questions?
Yeah, can I just ask a question?
Yeah.
The writing up here is very small. Is there any way that you can have the writing bigger?
Which writing is that?
Any of it? Because when I'm looking at all of this, so on your screen there, all I can literally read on that screen is the word that says explain, example planner, and then in the middle of your screen, you've got like, let's have a conversation. All the other stuff on there, which I appreciate most people can read, but I can't because it's just too small. Is there a way that that can be bigger?
That's an excellent question, Karen, and the answer is yes. So there's two shortcuts that you should use, especially when you're delivering online sessions. So when you're in an app, and I'm talking in the app, you do Control Plus. Okay, so you do Control Plus when you're in an app like this. All right, so Control Plus is within the app, but there's going to be many times, for example, when we're in, say, the BBC, right? So that will work where you do this. Thank God it's shrinking, isn't it? Gosh, some good news at last. Okay, so when we do Control Plus, we can do that, right? But, you know, and that's very, very useful. It is most times very, very useful. But there's going to be times when I want to show you some of these icons on the top. You can't see that, can you?
No.
So what we do is another shortcut, and we do Windows Plus and Windows Minus. So when we do Windows Plus, you can see what I'm doing, and look what I can do. Do you see? So those are two really important shortcuts, especially in terms of accessibility and inclusion. And when you're delivering online, something to remember all the time.
Thank you.
You're most welcome. Okay, we've got another question. Can you add members that are not part of the Active Directory? So David, you can add guests into a team using their email. Not something I would advise if they are students. You should use the Active Directory, especially when it comes to the class type assignment. But regardless, you can add members or people into teams just using their normal email addresses.
Okay,
Another
that's good.
question. Yeah.
None of our students will have will be part of the Active Directory.
Okay, you're an adult learning service, isn't it? And my experience with working with other adult learning services is that they do have them, because what they did is they applied for the Microsoft, the A1 license. So go back to your institute and tell them that as an institute, as an adult learning service, that we can apply for the A1 license. And that means your students will have access to the browser version of Microsoft 365, and they should be added to your Active Directory.
Okay, thank you.
So that answers your second question here, David, that once you add them to the A1 license, they'll be able to access Microsoft 365 for free. Not the downloadable version, because the downloadable version is an A3 license and it means you have to pay. But if you fall under their license requirements in terms of an educational provider, then what you can do is provide Microsoft 365 for free to your students. But that's another conversation here. Okay. So let's get back to this, because I think I've lost track now. Okay. So we learned how to create a team, correct? And we learned how to create a team and we gave it a name. And my advice was, follow your naming convention. We've learned how to add channels. Why would we want to add channels? Because it groups conversations and resources. By default, when you create a team, you have one default channel called General. Really important to add additional channels that correspond more or less to the units that you deliver. So when you create a class type team, we also learned that you get the class notebook, the assignments, and the grades. So the first thing that I want to show you is how to communicate in teams. So if we click on new conversation here, as I said, consider Teams as WhatsApp on steroids, right? We can say hello all, nothing too special, right? Hello all, right? There we go. We just sent a message. Everyone who's a member of that team will get that message. But we also have additional features when we communicate with others in Teams. And the first one that I want to show you, and guess what I'm doing? I'm pressing Windows plus here. So you can see you've got some really nice features here. And the first thing that I want to show you is the @ symbol. So the @ symbol is for mentioning people. Because when I didn't use the @ symbol and I said hello all, no one's going to get a notification unless they can see it in the team. So when I use the @ symbol, I can now say, I'll click on Enrico here, and now his name is highlighted and I can say hi there. What that means is that Enrico here will get a notification that will show up in his activity. And depending on his settings, he may even get an email saying that you've been mentioned in a team. So it's really important to learn how to use the @ symbols. All right, so the @ symbol is like a nudge. A nudge. It's like, someone's tapping you on the shoulder. Okay, that's all that is. The next way we can use the @ symbol is by typing @ and then the word channel. And what that does is that everyone in this team will then get a notification and not just, one person. So when we say @ channel, it's clever enough to recognize what channel we're in, which is the general, and we write @ general and say hi all. That means everyone in that team will get a notification that I said hi all. So you would typically use that when you want to notify everyone in the team of, I don't know, a delay, a cancellation, or whatever it is. Okay, any questions so far with that? No? Yes? All happy with that so far?
Yep.
Okay, excellent. All right, so we're going to move on now. There's a really, I just want to show you some neat features also. And remember, you've got the help here that shows you everything that I'm showing you, by the way. It really does. I'll just show you real quickly something that's really cool. So if I do we can even initiate bots. How many of you have heard of Microsoft Forms? Let me know by voice or chat pane, yes, no.
No.
No? Okay, so what Microsoft Forms is
No.
it's an exceptionally easy but very powerful survey, poll, and assessment tool. All right, it's incredibly easy to use, but it's so powerful. And they've integrated forms within Teams. So I can write the word forms in here, at forms, and then click here. And it'll ask me, what can I do, right? Let me just zoom out a little. I'll say, create a poll. So it'll create a poll. It'll give me this dialog box, and I'll say, what color is the sky? Now, look how AI, which stands for artificial intelligence, kicks in. It's so clever that when I said what color, even if it's English spelling, because in America they won't have the U, it's kicked in the AI and it's giving me options here. Isn't that clever? So if I click on add all, it's saving me time. So what color is the sky? I'll click on save and I'll click on send. And then every member of this team will get this, this poll here. So when, you click on, say, blue, submit vote, you'll see what people are voting in. So that's really clever stuff. And you can see, you can integrate the different applications within Microsoft 365 in there. Okay. You can also come here and make your messages attract attention. So if I click on new conversation, there's a button here. Can you see that? It says format. Look at that. When you click on format, you get all of this formatting features. We're all familiar with these in Word: bold, italic, underline, strike through, highlight. What's this one? Font color. What's this one here? I think this is, what does this do? Large, medium. So you get a number of things that you can do to format your message. One really interesting way is when you click on new conversation, click on that formatting button, you can also create an announcement. So if I click on announcement here, look what you can do. So you can click on an announcement and then click on this button towards the right, this gallery image here, and choose an illustration. Give it a sec. And by the way, all of this that I'm showing you is in the help file, and I'll show you where that is. So, here's an announcement. Click on announcement, and I'll say late submissions. Okay. And then I can even classify this message as important. Can you see that? It's important now. I can even use the @ symbol. Remember the @ symbol? So I can say @ and then just the word channel, and everyone gets a notification here, right? Here, add a subheading. I'm not sure about you, but I love my dictate. Here's another really useful shortcut. It's just fantastic. It's Windows H. All right. So when I do Windows H, look what happens. I have decided to extend the deadline because I'm such a generous person. Did you see what it did? So basically it's dictating what I'm saying. All right, so you can do a number of things there. That's like a pro tip there, Windows H. and I use dictate, you know, so much just to reduce my workload. So you can do all of those things, and then you click on submit here. Okay, so you can see that the message now looks so much better than just hi all. So you can do a number of things. I'll show you where that is, by the way. If you click on the help and just click on training, so and just click on here, if you just scroll down, you'll see where that is. It's called make an announcement. It's all in here for you. So create and format a message, get attention with @mentions, right? So basically everything that I'm showing you is actually in this help file. All right, everything. All right, so let's go back to that team. Okay, so this is where we are. So now I've shown you how to have conversations in there and post messages. What you'll see is that underneath each channel, you've got the files tab. So if I go to unit 1, you've got files. If I go to unit 8, you've got files. So this is like your own filing storage for each of the channels. And just like you would expect, you can create folders here. Right, folder example. So that's how you would create a folder. I can go to unit 1. I can go to the files and just click on new folder, and I'll call this unit 1, you know, resources. So I can now manage all my files and folders in each channel. So I go to unit 8, files, again, file, new folder. Now, we can also go to these folders. So I'm in this folder. You can see that I'm in this folder. And I can click on new. And I can even create a Word document inside this folder. So now I can say unit 8, you know, document, whatever that is. All right. And then create. And I've now created a Word document within that folder. So I can say, you know, and look, you've got the dictate function in here. And as I was saying, I use dictate all the time because it makes my life so much easier. It types at least 3 times more faster than me typing. And if you get, you know, more confident at this, you can even say full stop. Next line. Start bullet point list. Bullet point 1. All right, it's not doing it because I'm not very good at this. But if you look at some of these things, once you get really confident at this, then you can start doing all of these things. So anyway, that's my Word document. I'm going to close that. And you can see I've created a Word document within my Unit 8 folder. As easy as that. Yes.
Is everybody else's screen all right? Because mine's just gone black. I can still hear you.
I'm not sure. Is my
That just
screen
me?
all right? It's okay. What's they're saying? Lynn.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll just listen.
Okay. So, Lynn, if you can see everyone's videos, what you need to
No.
do is turn everyone's videos off. It might improve your bandwidth.
I can't see anything.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Try. I don't want to tell you to press F5 to refresh the page, but that might mess things up for you. But if it does, you can always come back to the meeting.
Right. I might try it then.
All right. Leslie's asking, do you have more than one conversation at a time? Yeah, you can have as many conversations at a time here. So, you know, if I'm answering that correctly, yeah, you can have conversations go on all the time here. So we talked about files. This is the power of Microsoft Teams. And I'll tell you what the power of Microsoft Teams is. So if I go to that Unit 8 e-commerce and go to my files, and then click on Unit 8 resources and click on this Word document, right? Here's my Word document. It's opened up, right? Believe it or not, and this is the power of cloud computing, is that I can click on conversation here. I can say at channel, and remember it's clever enough to know what channel I'm in. And I can say, let's collaborate on this document. Okay, I can spell that correctly. That is. Okay, there we go. I send this. So now, if there were people in this team, they would get that message and a notification, and we can all start writing on this document, all of us together at the same time. And that is really the power of Microsoft Teams. And because Microsoft Teams is owned by Microsoft, it takes advantage of Word and all of these other apps in there. All right, so imagine we had a class. We can start typing into this document all at the same time. I wouldn't recommend that without using tables. So what I do is I insert tables for my students, and I would say, put your name in there. So here is my name, Esam, and then there's the comment will be in there. Because when you allow them to all collaborate on the same document, they'll be writing over each other. But if you use tables, it makes things so much more organized. Okay? So that's the power of Teams. It's incredibly powerful stuff. So you could do exactly the same thing. Let me close that. Let me go to Unit 1, Business Communication. Let's go through that process again. Go to the files. We've got a folder that we created. This time, I'm going to create a PowerPoint presentation. So imagine now that you're teaching online and you want your students to collaborate. So this is about business communications. And I want this as a collaborative PowerPoint. Right, so here it is. Remember what I did is I went and clicked on conversation. I'll notify everyone at channel. Right, and I'll say, let's work. All right, so here's my thing. So imagine this now. So what I'll do is just press enter, which is a shortcut to insert slides. So I'll have a few slides over here. I love my dictate. Business communications. And as a result of using dictate all the time, my spelling has deteriorated, by the way. So over here, group 1. Group 2. Group 2. You get the idea. So now what I would say is I would designate, Sarah, Muhammad, and Mike in group 1. And then in group 2, I would designate those students, and they'll be able all to collaborate on that document in real time, and you can see what's going on. So let me close that. Okay. So let's go back to the team. And now what we're going to do is we are going to look at the assignments feature, which is such an incredible, amazing, powerful feature. So under the general channel, and that's the only place where you can access the assignments, by the way. If you notice, when we go to the other channels, we don't have the assignments here. Right, not there. It's only in the general channel. So in the general channel, we're going to click on assignments, and we are going to create an assignment. So the first thing we need to do is click on Get Started. Then at the bottom, we click on Create, and then we click on Assignment. Obviously, we need to give this assignment a name. So business communications, task 1. All right, that's my thing there. We can even put it in categories. So you can add the category. So I'll say this is unit 1, press enter. So it falls under this category. Just a good way to manage them and filter your assignments. Here is instructions. Okay, these are instructions. So here you would put your instructions. I would like you to complete this presentation. Full stop. I've provided the slides and the headings. You will need to open this up in PowerPoint and apply your own design. Okay. Add resources. So I'm going to show you something that is incredibly powerful in my opinion. So I can just click on assign, and you know the students will have the option to upload their PowerPoint presentation, which is fine. But this is what I do. I click on add and you can see what I've written. So, you know, I'm going to provide them with a template, because what I want them to do is I want them not to miss any tasks that I give them out. So it's very important that I create that template for them, and all they need to do is just complete the slides, because I'm trying to be as unambiguous as possible online. So let's see how to do this. I'm going to click on add resources, and then when it says add resources, I'm going to click on new file, and it'll be a PowerPoint presentation. And I'll say, what did I say? Task 1, right? Task 1, attach. By default, this would be a resource that students read, but I don't want to do that. What I want is I want students to edit their own copy. And by the way, what time do we finish this presentation? I'm so sorry to ask, but I'm not sure. What time is it? If someone lets me know. A very unusual question from the presenter, but thank you. All right, that's excellent. All right, thank you, David. So I want the students to edit their own copy, right? So what I do is towards the right, you got the ... the ellipsis. And what we're going to do is we're going to change the default from students can edit to students edit their own copy. Now, when that happens, I'll need to click on the PowerPoint. And now I'm able to provide that template for them. So I'll say unit 1, right? And over here, remember, enter. So I'll come back here. Someone give me some ideas of what would typically be in a business communications. Let's say teamwork, okay? So I want them to write about teamwork, right? This one, I want them to write about collaboration, or I'm just making this up, of course. I don't really know what I'm...
Marketing.
Marketing, thank you very much. Don't really know what I'm doing. Maybe it wasn't the best subject to write about. Okay, marketing, anything else? What are we talking? Business communication, listening skills.
The 4 Ps.
Thank you, the 4 Ps. There we go. All right, we're just making this up, of course. Press enter. The 4 Ps. There you go. So now, I'm going to close this, right? And when I close this, right, there's a PowerPoint with a presentation. I'm going to try my best, by the way, to see what that looks like from the student view. I'm not sure if I can do that, but we'll see. So here, you can add a rubric. That's for another day. But you can even mark this based on a rubric for those that have used rubrics before. And then here it says assign to. Because I'm in the team, it's recognized that I want to assign it to this team. But here's the power of Teams. I can even assign it to my other groups all at the same time. So basically I can assign it to my 4 classes here. Now, additionally, what we can do is we can put a due date here. So I want this submitted by the 31st of January. And I can click on edit, and I can even schedule to post this assignment in the future. So imagine that I don't want to post it now, but I want to post it on Monday or Tuesday at this particular time. So you could even do that. And you can also have a closed date. And what a closed date is a hard deadline. It means your students can't submit any work beyond this date here. That's a really good question. If you are assigning it like this to 4 different groups, no, it will be one date. So what you'll have to do is that once you've done it to just this one group, right? So only to group A, right? Then you click on assign. What you'll have to do is go to those other teams, Janet, and assign it, but your life becomes easier. What do I mean by that? When you go to your other teams and say you wanted to assign this same thing here, what you would do is go to oh, by the way, did you see what happened? The students got a notification in that team. Look, that the task 1 has been assigned. Okay, so they'll get this notification here. But what I wanted to show you with these different dates in these different teams, so if you click here and click on assignments, you don't have to go through that whole process, Janet. What you can do is click on create, and can you see where it says from existing? If I click from existing, that from which class, I have to choose my class, which is this one here, I believe, and click on next. It will find, no, it's not that one, is it? It must be this one. Next, nope. Does anyone remember what team that was? Is it this one? Must be that. Next. Yes, it was that one. Yeah, so it was that one. It was the one at the end. So if I click on which assignment do I want to reuse, I'll click on the class, I'll click on next, and can you see the assignment comes up? So when I click on next now, it gives me then the ability I don't have to go through that whole process, but then it gives me the ability to change the date. So that's how we can have different dates for different groups. Okay. So if we go, all right, is it still, what is it doing? It's still waiting for something to happen. Any questions in the meanwhile? While this does something. Yes.
David.
Hi, David.
I'm sorry if I've missed this, but I couldn't see it. Can you set up an assignment in advance so that it becomes not due, but it starts in advance?
Yeah.
So you write it now and then becomes assigned next week or whatever.
Yes. So when we click on edit, which is right there, date due, edit, there's something that allows you to schedule to assign in the future. So basically, I've set this up, but I don't want to push it out right now. I want to push it out on Monday at 9 o'clock. And I do that quite a lot. So basically, that's it. So if I click on done and schedule, right, this will be pushed out at 9 o'clock. You can see schedule there, if that answers your question, David.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, excellent. So that's how you can create assignments in Teams. Really, really powerful stuff. If we click there, there's the assignment. We can click on view assignment, and you can see this is the view that we get. We can also click on those 3 dots and see the student view. So I'm going to click on student view, and this is what the student gets. All right. They will obviously get something. So if I click on student work, your students, obviously, because I'm a teacher, I have to click on edit, but they can edit this and then submit it. What's just excellent for those that have never heard of the Immersive Reader, and it's one of those most transformative tools for people with learning disabilities and dyslexia, and also people that are learning English speakers of other languages. So over here on the top right, they've integrated the Immersive Reader. So the Immersive Reader is actually integrated inside the assignments. So if we click on here, so imagine you've got lots and lots of text. You know, most students would look at that text and maybe, you know, get deterred or get discouraged. So what your students can do, especially if they're English speakers of other languages or have dyslexia or have, you know, different learning needs, they can click on this button, and what that will launch is that it will launch the Immersive Reader. How many of you have heard? So let me know in the chat pane, yes, no. How many of you have heard of the Immersive Reader? Let me know in the chat pane, please. No.
No.
All right. Okay. So this is, I hope, going to be something I show you today that will transform many of your students' lives, I'm hoping. Okay. So let me show you what this is. It's just an incredible tool for people with dyslexia, learning needs, and as I said, even other speakers, you know, other English speakers of other languages. Let me show you what I mean. So I'm going to play this.
Business Communications Task 1. Category, Unit 1. Due the 31st of January, 2021, 23:59.
I'm assuming you can hear that, yeah?
Instructions.
Cool.
I would like you to complete this presentation. I've provided the slides, and then heading you will need to open this up.
And I use this, by the way, for myself. Why do I use it for myself? Whenever I have something important to write, I always put it through the Immersive Reader. Because why? It's a proof checker for me. As you can see, I can tell that I made a mistake here, because normally you hear your mistakes before you see them.
In PowerPoint on apply your own design.
All right, so basically, for those experts, you know, in learning needs and dyslexia, you could, according to the research, they put dyslexia-friendly fonts. Believe it or not, Comic Sans is one. You can also change the background. I had a student in my class with learning needs. He used to get a headache reading black text on a white background, an eye strain. All right, so this allows you to change all of those settings. You can even have more colors over here. You can show formatting here, right? You can even increase the size over here and the spacing. Okay. Now we click on grammar options and you can see my syllables were on. So those students that are learning how to pronounce words, and we, you know, encourage everyone to learn how to use this, because even if you're a, you know, level 3 science teacher, you can actually use the Immersive Reader to break down these words. Okay, presentation. Okay, then you can even highlight the nouns, the verbs, the adjectives, the adverbs. I'm colorblind, and that's why I've done that. So you can see, I'll show you what I'm colorblind, and with color blindness, believe it or not, 1 in every 12 men or boys are colorblind, and 1 in every 200 women are colorblind. In the United Kingdom, that's about 4.5% of the population, just to let you know. And there are settings in Windows 10 that actually make life easier for people that have color blindness, just to let you know. But that's for another session. Here, what we can do is click on show labels. When we click on show labels, you can see now, I know that's a verb, and it's not perfect, by the way. That's a noun, so you can see what it's done. So that's really important for me, by the way. All right, show labels, because I'm colorblind. So over here, show labels. Now, I think what the wow factor is this. For those that remember, that are old enough to remember the reading ruler, which removes the visual crowding of text. Anyone knows the reading ruler? If we write here reading ruler. Okay. And what people used to do for people with dyslexia, this is what they used to do. So it removes the visual crowding. So people with dyslexia are able to read better using a reading ruler. All right, that shows my age, by the way. Okay, so let's click back here. And what you have with that is the digital form of that. Where's my team? Don't even remember where I went. Gosh. Oh, there we are. All right, so we have the reading ruler. So we can even do, 3 lines, 1 line, and all sorts. Now, I think what the wow factor here is this. So if we click, we can translate this to, so Julia, if you can please show your colleagues these tools, that would be fantastic. Honestly, these are transformative tools because I've seen the transformative nature of these technologies in my own class. And as you saw at the beginning of this demo, how that boy in that video that I showed you, his life was literally transformed because of Microsoft Teams, because of his hearing impairment, by the way. So over here, you can change this to up to 63 languages. All right, so look at what I'll do. I'll change this to Arabic, Egyptian, and even yourselves, if you're learning a different language, you can use this to support yourself. What do I mean? Say I'm learning Arabic here. I can click on these words and it will give me the Arabic word for it. And if I click on that listen to translation,
من شأنه.
look,
من شأنه.
you see,
من شأنه.
and even if I was learning English,
would
it'll help me pronounce
complete.
this. And you can see there's a Pictionary. Can you see that? So there's some words that have pictures with them. So you can do that word by word, or you can click here, do the whole document. So now the whole document has been translated. I'll click on play.
مهمة الاتصالات
And that's,
التجارية
reading
واحد.
it out.
الفئة الوحدة واحد. الاستحقاق 31 يناير 2000.
And as I said, up to 63 languages. Not all of them will have the voice. Any languages you'd like me to see? I'm sure there's some French speakers here. So let's do the whole document. Let me know how accurate that is.
Tâche de communication d'affaires 1. Catégorie, unité 1. Échéance le 30.
Yeah, with Welsh, let's see if it reads it out, because it will translate it, but will it read it out? Do you see what I'm saying? So let's do the whole document. And you can see with Welsh, it's grayed out. So there are some languages that are grayed out, which means that read aloud is not currently available for that particular language, but it will translate it. And you can see, look, oh, that's what directions is, or that's what this is.
You to complete.
Okay. So that is in a nutshell what the immersive reader is. It's integrated within there. You can see that's just absolutely fantastic for, people with different learning needs. So once your students submit work, it will show up here and it'll say handed in. That's what will happen. Okay. So it'll show up here. You'll be able then to click on there and you'll be able to mark their work. So you can enter feedback here and then return that feedback. Now, the next thing that I'm going to show you, and we're going to wrap it up just after this, is something I think also incredibly powerful. I don't have any real students in here, So what I will show you, first of all, you'll need to add it. So when you click on add a tab, there's something called insights. So what are insights? So if I click on insights here, I need to add this, and then you'll get a tab here called insights. So what insights is basically it's student analytics. What does that mean exactly? When you install Class Insights, which is a Microsoft product, basically it will provide rich data for you to identify which of your students are digitally inactive. Now, why would you think that is useful? In our first lockdown in March, in our college, we were able to see which of our learners were digitally inactive. Now, I'll show you what it looks like on my end, but obviously I can't show you, you know, the one in the class because of GDPR, but I will show you this view here because it doesn't have any student names. Oops, where has it gone? There we go. So if we look at this view, this is Insights. You can install Insights on this view, and it gives you an overview of all your classes at the same time. So over here, as I said, it gives you lots of rich data to tell you which of your students were absent from any of the meetings, which of them missed any submissions, which of them have been active on these particular days. And what's fantastic, I can tell straight away that 11 students were absent in here. If I click in there, I'll be able to jump in there. But obviously you have to use this data, wisely. What do I mean? For example, we've got learning support assistants in our class as members. So it's triggering them. Our classes, some of these students, their classes are only on Monday and Tuesday. You might be looking at this, so obviously look at the data with that in mind. Okay. So the last thing that I will show you, considering we have 10 minutes, and I think we've done exceptionally well with time this time. So what I'm going to show you is that how to create meetings in your lessons. So obviously I'm the Unit 1 teacher here. Unit 1 business communication, right? So over here, what we'll do is we're going to schedule a meeting because this is going to be a recurring class every week. Right, and it's going to occur every Monday between 9 and 10:30. Does it repeat? Yes, it repeats on a weekly basis. Right, as easy as that. I can even click on custom, which means I can even have an end date. If I know my end date is at the end of June on the 28th, I can even do that. Click on save. And then click on send. Now, all my students will get a notification in their email and it will also show up in their channel. So all my students need to do is just join this and we're in an online meeting. I'll show you what it looks like if we join this now. Hopefully nothing will happen. So I join the meeting and there I am. All right. We can share screens like we're doing here. We can raise hands. We can have conversations. We can share files. We can collaborate in real time. Okay. Any questions so far? Because what I'm going to do now is I'm going to open up the next 10 minutes for Q&A. So I can even demo things for you. So how many people are we? We're 22 participants. Please don't be shy. Yes, you can use breakout rooms, and breakout rooms is something they introduced in December. It was something that people really wanted. And I'll answer this question. Just let me set this up. Let me write Holex. And it's something that they really wanted. As I said, you need the desktop version for all of that to work. What I found is that when I use breakout rooms with my students, engagement really shot up. All right, it really did. It's just such a wonderful feature. I know that it's been in Zoom for a very long time, and it came late into Microsoft Teams, but it is now widely available. I always finish my sessions with a sort of a survey. I will click on that save. If you could please kindly, I'll share the link with you. Share a link in the chat pane. I will also present it here and I'll hide it in a minute. But if you could, everyone, I will send this to everyone. It's in the meeting. If you could just please describe this session in a sentence or two, that would be greatly appreciated. You can just go to slido.com and put Holex in there, or just click on that hyperlink. I'll just click outside because I don't think we want to read each other's sort of feedback. So I'll leave that as it is. Let's see this. In the chat box, it tells you when someone has joined the meeting and also when they've left the conversation. What exactly does left the conversation mean? Is it different to when someone leaves the meeting? If so, is there a way on chat to know? Yeah. So when let's go here. So you're absolutely right. It means that they've left the meeting, they've left the chat. So if I click on my desktop over here, just go to Teams. I'll show you what I mean. It's such a fantastic feature. It really is. So if I click on Meet now, right, join. There's a lovely feature. I'm not sure if you have this in Zoom. So it'll take a while. And this is my desktop version. You can see with my desktop, it's got some really nice features. Remember the accessibility and inclusion. But also what you have with these three dots, let me zoom in. You've got download attendance list. So when you download the attendance list, right, it'll go into your downloads folder, and I'll show you what that looks like, but you'll need to give me a sec because of GDPR reasons. I'll hide one of the columns. So let me show you what that looks like. I'll just hide the students. Come on. Oops, that's not it. I'll keep the questions coming along, please. Attendance step. So let me hide that column. Sorry, I'm in Excel. Just need to hide this column. Review, view. Hide. There you go. Okay, so what you do is I've got a column that has all their names. Yeah. But here you also have all of this. So you can see which of your students have joined and left. In the first column, you'll have their full names. So you do get that ability. Okay. Not sure where everything is gone. I've lost the chat. Where's the chat? Chat. There you go. Does that answer your question? There was more in the chat. Yeah, so in the chat here, are we talking about this chat here or meeting chats?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's go back to that. Let's meet now. No, Alison, they'll be seeing each other. So if they click on manage, everyone gets to see each other. So in the chat here, we were in the chat. So here's the meeting chat, right? So what was your question in the chat? Yeah, it means that they've left. If
Hi,
someone,
sorry, I
Yeah.
was trying to get my microphone on, it wasn't working. When you go into the chat on that bar on the far left-hand side of your screen above Teams,
where? Here.
so if you go into chat, over to the left again, above where you've got the Teams.
Oh, there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let me leave this. Yeah. Okay.
If you click on that chat button, that gives you the historical chat from your last Teams meeting.
One sec. If one sec, let me go back to this view so I'm not sharing any things here. Okay, so yes.
So that gives you the chat of the last Teams meeting that you held. So at the beginning of that chat, it tells you everybody that comes into the meeting. And then as you get to the end of your presentation, and people have added various comments in the chat, it tells you when people have left the chat. But does it tell you that they've actually left the meeting as well? Or is it just that they've left connecting in the chat, if that makes sense?
So if you're the meeting organizer, you have the ability to download that attendance list. That's the only way you'll know if participants, at what time they've left and joined.
And is that retrospective? Can you look at that?
No, not yet, but it will be very soon.
So when you look at the chat and it says someone's left the conversation, the chat won't tell you if they've left the meeting. The only way you would know if they've left the meeting is when you have that bar down the side that tells you how many participants are left.
Yeah, and the spreadsheet that you can download as an organizer.
But only at the time that you hold the meeting. So
yeah, it has to be in the meeting. It can't be done after the fact. Yes.
So as long as it says, so ignoring if participants have entered the meeting at the beginning, it's kind of irrelevant to know whether they've left. The only way you know that they've left is by looking at your bar where it says how many participants are left while you're still in the call.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for that.
I believe, yeah. Okay, so as I said, I would really appreciate if you could give some feedback there. The link is there. It's just, oops, it's there all together. So it's all there. So if you could just give the feedback, there's 22 people in there. This session has been recorded. So I'm not sure what Holex will do with the recording. I will stop the recording if I know how. Let me pause that share. Okay. How do you stop the recording is a good question. Stop recording. There you go. There's shortcuts. I should get really good at this, shouldn't I? It's Alt-C.